Yo, yo, Weather Abe happening here, guys. Hey, welcome back. Another forecast for a hurricane, this time Hurricane Irma near Puerto Rico. I'm going to give you a rundown real quick about where's it going to go, what's it going to hit, how big is it going to be when it hits, and how fast the winds will be, too. So, same thing like I did with Hurricane Matthew, but with the exception, I have a special guest here. Would you like to introduce yourself to my peeps?
What's up, everybody? I'm Tex Wex out here in Houston, Texas. Be helping Weather Aid get you some information about Hurricane Irma.
All right, welcome, welcome. Always a pleasure. Hopefully you can help me not blow the forecast like I did last time. So here we go. New forecast. We just got the 5 o'clock advisory from the National Hurricane Center. So Ryan, give them a rundown of what has changed, because a couple things have.
All right, so what we have here, we still have a major Category 5 hurricane. It is located at 18.8 north, 65.4 west. Maximum sustained winds remaining at 185. Its movement is west-northwest at 16 miles per hour, and what Weather Abe was referring to is it looks a little bit like the track may have shifted towards the west slightly. 2 p.m. on Sunday, it's got the center over Miami, like directly over Miami. And the pressure dropped down. I think you said it was, 914 millibars?
914.
914.
914. So yes, it's the pressure's gone down. The winds have stayed the same. It is not really weakening. And I hint that very, very much because there's a very important thing that Ryan and I have been discussing is the intensity differences that people are saying. It's going to be a Category 3 once it gets to Savannah, Georgia. That's 105 knots, which is about roughly 120 or so miles an hour. And you're telling me this thing is going to weaken 65 miles an hour before it gets there. Ryan, can you tell me what they're on? Because I'm not really sure I'm following.
Well, I can't tell you, but I definitely disagree with their intensity. Maybe not so much with that Category 3 up toward Georgia, but more specifically for me, I would disagree with the Category 4 classification that they have when it gets near Florida. I don't see a way that it's going to, rapidly decay like what they're forecasting. It's everything that I'm reading in the discussions has been saying that it's in a favorable environment for at least sustaining strength. And if you look at these sea surface temperatures, it definitely is in an environment for remaining where it's at, if not strengthening.
I mean, you're talking about like bathwater temperatures right here. I mean, especially in these darker reds. I mean, that's like bathwater.
Exactly.
So, again, and also, how can it weaken? It's not really going over much land that's going to really affect it. Cuba's out of the question now. The only thing that's going to affect this is maybe its southernmost eye wall, and that's about it. But it's missing Puerto Rico. It's missing the Haiti and Dominican Republic. The Bahamas are the Bahamas. They're not going to stop it. I mean, these things didn't do anything to it.
If anything, they got run over.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's interesting to see what they're going to do. So let's get real quick to the pictures. Here's a IR resolution of it. Ryan, you and I have been paying attention to the symmetric of the storm. At least I have been. And in the beginning, it wasn't really symmetric, and now it's slowly trying to get back its form again. What do you think?
Right, like you were pointing out, it kind of looks at the first couple of images like the thunderstorm activity has shifted more off to the east side of the storm. Whereas now, towards these last couple of images, it's definitely been building back towards the west and becoming a much more symmetrical storm. So that may be hinting at some kind of an intensification. If not, it's definitely not saying it's weakening.
No, it's definitely going to hold its own for at least another extended amount of time. So, IR, National Hurricane Center, pretty colors. I mean, it's not as well defined as it was a couple of days ago with big old freaking nice looking textbook storm, but it's still a textbook storm. It's still got a beautiful eye. It's still got an unbelievable
outflow.
I mean, it's pretty big. It's almost now 10 degrees longitude, maybe a little more. It's a pretty big ass storm, not gonna lie. So, and it's a pretty beautiful storm too. So let's go to the water vapor imagery to give us a little insight on why they think it's going to weaken. And Ryan, do you see much at all that's going to tell you it's going to weaken?
To be honest, no, I don't. All that I'm seeing here is some moist air, which again indicates an environment conducive to maintaining strength, if not increasing. Hopefully it doesn't do that, but I'm not seeing anything that's going to hint to me at a weakening.
Or at least a rapid decay. If it does weaken, it'll fluctuate like you and I discussed. I mean, they do
Right. These
fluctuate in
storms tend
intensity.
to fluctuate, maybe a couple of miles an hour, but I'm not expecting a 40-mile-an-hour drop off in the winds.
No, neither am I. So, I don't know. It's interesting, but all right, let's go back. So, we've discussed a little bit about it. So, what is your take on what do you think is going to happen? Where is it going to make landfall? What do you think of the new track that the National Hurricane Center has came up with? So, get your take on it, and then I'll bring us back to the track, and I'll give the viewers a little idea of what we think is going to happen.
Well, I guess my take on it is that this is a worst-case scenario for the city of Miami if it does indeed follow the center of this cone. I mean, you have a major Category 5 hurricane potentially coming right to downtown Miami, passing over the city. I mean, you're talking something along the lines of Hurricane Andrew back in 1992. Absolutely a devastating system. You need to pay attention to this. If you're not, you need to have plans for either evacuating or moving inland if you're in those areas. You need to listen to your local law enforcement, listen to the National Hurricane Center, and definitely if there's any kind of an evacuation order, you need to pay attention.
He's right, ladies and gentlemen. So, got us back on this page. So here we go. 2 p.m. Sunday, they have it literally like bullseye right over Miami, like Ryan was saying. So, what are we going to do? Well, we have become we've decided that I think, and we both think this, that it's going to go through the middle of the state. So, we're not predicting that it's going to destroy Miami right on top of it. But it's still going to do some pretty damn good damage to it. So about right where my mouse is, right here, is about where we're thinking it's going to make landfall in Florida. And it's going to travel up through the peninsula of Florida, straight as an arrow almost north. And then once it gets to about here, it's going to come back in the water for a little bit. And round 2 is going to make a nice little turn right into Georgia/South Carolina border. So
Savannah definitely needs to pay attention to this system too. That's another hurricane-prone location.
I mean, I also tell you guys, I don't know if you've paid attention to the news, but I'm sure you have. If you guys are in Florida and you live in the Keys, Miami, probably Orlando, FIT, I know there's a big shout out to all the FITers that are down there, Melbourne, Jacksonville, Savannah, you guys need to pay attention. And if you guys have not gotten mandatory evacuations yet, or if you've thought about it, just do it. Just get out. Don't think you can take this on, because you're not going to. As you can see, this thing has not weakened. It's been 185 mile an hour winds for about the last, I think,
at least the last 24 hours.
At least 24 hours is right. So it's not like it wants to die anytime soon. It's not going to decide to go over here and miss everybody completely, because I hate to say it, the National Hurricane Center ain't that bad at forecasting, and neither are we. I mean, there's models for a reason. So we say right there, give them a time frame, Ryan, about what do you think, what time do they expect it to hit?
Well, what we were talking about, you were saying about 7 o'clock. I believe it was 7 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. And I was saying probably in the time frame of 8 to 10 in the morning on Sunday was when it was going to make landfall.
It's going to vary based on when the trough takes it, how fast it goes, and that's about it. And then the line it takes too, because if it takes a different line, it's going to take longer to get there. Like if it goes the whole way down here to Cuba and then goes north, it's going to take longer to get there. So it's all going to base on what are we going to do. So let's show you one quick model, the GFS model right here. So let me get it playing for you guys, and I'll stop it where I can. So as you can see, it's down here in this left-hand corner, right-hand corner, excuse me. And it's making its way slowly, and we'll stop it right there. So right now, it's about where I would kind of put it on path for our trajectory. Would you think, Ryan?
Yeah.
So far, it hasn't really changed where it wants to go. I mean, right here is where it kind of makes a turn a little sharper than I think it would.
Mm-hmm.
And then it like scrapes Miami about right in there. So it's literally a difference of what, Ryan? Like 30, 40 miles, if that.
Yeah, it can't be very much.
So to get an accurate pinpoint location is very difficult with the storm being 4 or 5 days out.
Mhm.
So, I mean, right here, this is at Monday at 8 o'clock in the morning, and you can see it's just off the coast of Jacksonville, almost getting ready to go to Savannah. Last thing before we let you guys go, here's the upper air chart. I'm going to play that as well. This is going to show you where this trough is. You know, everybody's been talking about this trough. What the hell is a trough? Well, Ryan, just walk them through it real quick about what we're explaining here.
All right, so what we have is we have this trough. It's moving through the United States, and what we've got right there is the trough kind of dips down, going into the Louisiana, Mississippi area, and then it's going to kind of stall for a little bit. And that's going to allow the storm to continue to move towards the west. But then once it picks up speed again and kind of erodes the high pressure Bermuda High, that's when the storm's going to be able to make its move north. So it's all kind of depending on how much this trough erodes the Bermuda High and the timing of that resumed motion.
Yep, he's correct, ladies and gentlemen. So, well, what's the other interesting fact about this? So, you're going to see it's come this way. You're going to get a landfall in the peninsula of Florida. You're going to get a landfall in Georgia. So what's going to happen after it gets into Georgia? Well, I can answer that to an extent. So when we get to about right there, where it makes its landfall in Georgia, South Carolina, look where it goes. It just moseys on right in the middle of the states, and then eventually just kind of fizzles out and dies. And why is that the case? Well, there's nothing to steer it. It just has its own way to go wherever it wants. So it's going to follow the jet stream, and most of the things are pushing everything towards the coast. So it's just going to keep going into the coast until it eventually just fizzles out and dies. And I don't know if you've noticed it, Ryan. I don't know if you can explain it any better than I did, but it's about what it's going to do after it finally gets to Georgia, South Carolina.
Well, yeah, it's just going to kind of move more inland and bring rain to like the Ohio Valley, Pennsylvania. I know is probably going to be getting some rain from this, all the way over to maybe Illinois. So you'll all be feeling some of the effects from this later on, at least according to these early projections.
That's it. All right, guys, we're going to go back to this screen. So, as TexWex and myself have told you guys, this is not a simplistic storm to take lightly. All right, this is not going to be something that you can just sit on your back porch and watch. All right,
Definitely do not do that.
This is nothing. This is a powerful storm. This thing has not weakened in the last 24 hours. It is continuing its strength, and it is continuing its continuing its trek towards Florida. So keep an eye on it. Be safe. Pay attention to Weather Abe, myself, Ryan, TexWex, all your local news agencies. National Hurricane Center does that advisories every 3 hours. They're actually also doing advisories every hour of location, wind speed, and direction. So keep an eye on those things. I mean, it's all there for you. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask us. We'll answer them as best as you can. Ryan, you have anything else to tell them?
I think you pretty much covered it, but if you guys have any questions, you can get in contact with us. We've got a Facebook page. We're called Honest Weather Network. I don't know if you've got that slide up. You can go on Facebook, find us, ask us any kind of questions that you may have, and we'll try and answer them to the best of our ability.
Yep. So, as we said before, guys, hey, good luck, stay safe, be safe, and watch, listen, and learn, and pay attention. So take it easy, guys, and be safe out there.